Welcome everyone to the second weekly call for the Mandel kickoff. Thank you everyone for joining. We've got a nice large group of people here. Representation from block producers, the software development team, the Fractally team, ENF, EOS support, all across the board. We've got some representatives. So thank you everybody. I wanted to check in on basically where we left off from last week. And opportunity for anyone else to add discussion items as we go. The big things where we left off on last week was there's still some questions on the code strategy, whether it's going to be a 3.2 and 3.0 or 3.1, and what are the dates, which feed into our objectives. Jungle reset is a big priority. So in order for us to start testing, we need the Jungle testnet as well as the Kylan testnet ready for us to start testing. Between the last call and today, we've gotten the Jungle team already to confirm that that's something they can help with. So great, we'll touch on that as we go. So anyways, let's get started. Let's start with this one here, clarifying the Mandel code strategy. Eve, do you have any updates you can provide on this one at this time?
No, still in discussion, so nothing to report at this time.
Okay, so the two possible paths are still in play. Is that right? There's
with the preference for 3.1 for everyone.
Okay.
There's a few venues on how to approach that, but no, still in discussion.
Okay, 3.1 for everyone.
Leaning towards that, yes.
Is still the okay. No, right now timelines and confirmation of whether that will be the case is still to be determined. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I will. That's.
I did get more information though. So actually, one thing would be to add is we've been speaking with a team for the API transaction lifecycle feature that I mentioned last week, which could be added, and the timelines do line up with what we were looking for, and so we would still be able to have, let's say, the release out roughly a month later than what we expected, which is quite acceptable from that side of things.
So originally it was May 19th was kind of the target date. It's now looking like perhaps a month later than that would be the
sometime in June, but it'll depend as well, because if we're not enabling the hard fork functions, let's say we merge and we go to 3.1 and we have this API transaction lifecycle function added, we don't necessarily need to enable the hard fork functions right away to showcase that we're not running the block one repo.
Okay.
Because that function in itself would not be found in the block one repo. So by default, if that function works on the mainnet, then that means that we're not pointing to block one repo, because that function would not be in the block one repo. And so it would actually be a somewhat simpler from that consensus upgrade function, which then could occur later on.
Okay, so we would achieve the objective of signaling to the world that we're on our independent code base without actually having to do the hard fork.
But we still would want to at some point enable those functions, those functions that require consensus upgrade, or I guess what we call hard fork, but just being careful with the wording, because the hard fork is different in EOS than it is everywhere else. So consensus upgrade, let's call it that going forward, because there's no new token. I know this keeps getting brought up, etc. So we would be able to achieve that earlier without doing that consensus upgrade. And then the consensus upgrade pathway, I think we would still be going forward with, but that could occur maybe a few months later. So we would still have a little bit more time to do that. And going through those steps, as we mentioned last week, is still quite worthwhile when we're not under pressure of doing so, in order to be able to coordinate the process and refine our strategy, so that in the future, when it is useful and when we do want to do so, we've got a much smoother process that we've tested out and that we're comfortable with. So it would buy us a little bit of time. We would still be able to signal that we're not running the block one repo without necessarily having to do that. And so it makes it a little bit more flexible.
Awesome. Sounds great.
And like I said, the team says that they could deliver the final, let's say, a solution probably by the end of June, but we would have an RC and we would have test versions being deployed probably in May. And so it really doesn't add that much time so far. We haven't finalized yet, but we should be able to provide a better update by next week.
Is that confirmed enough? Should I write that down, that we're expecting to have a version that we can start testing in May? That's of 3.1, is that right?
No, so that's the part where I'm still waiting for.
Okay.
So the API transaction lifecycle function would be able to be tested as early as, you know, as they got a live version out, whatever they would call it, RC1 or something like that. That would likely occur closer to the end of May or mid-May, and then we would go through different iterations leading up to potentially a final version of that particular function sometime mid-June to end of June. Now that needs to align then with the merging of 2.3 to 2.3 and 3.0 to 3.1, and or depending on who's going to be doing that work, there's also the option of not even doing 2.3 and just going straight to 3.1 from the, I guess, 3.0 that we already have.
Great.
So that's still pending. So that's the part that I can't give an update on because there are a few different people that are looking at providing this function.
So we estimated it would be 1 to 2 weeks before we would have. So we're still on track. We're only 1 week since our last call. So yeah.
That would likely occur prior to. So having 3.1 without API transaction lifecycles would probably be pre all of that. And so then we'd be able to add API transaction lifecycles in. And so it doesn't seem like it would add any delays. Actually, it would still line up very well.
Cool. Does anyone have any
to tell, because I need somebody to, we need to make the final decision on which team will take this on.
Okay. Anyone have anything to add or any questions on this topic before we move on to the next one?
We need to collect some arguments for keeping to the 3. There are not so many. Not so many reasons.
There's no argument for keeping 2.3. One of the options is that we don't even do 2.3.
Yeah, that's my point. That basically we need to have some.
But 2.3 is already paid for.
Common.
So depending on the team,
Yeah.
it might be that one team actually does 2.3 and then somebody merges, which would be simpler. Or if the team that did 2.3 just doesn't do 2.3 and just does 3.1, then we don't have 2.3.
I think the only argument for keeping 2.3 is that if through this investigation on the feasibility of the 3.1, we find out that it's going to take way longer than we expected. So it's going to delay our ability to give that signal to the world that we're independent. Is that right, Yves, from your perspective?
That's one of the largest reasons, yes. So these are not technical reasons. We talked about this before. There's no technical reason as to why we need to do a consensus upgrade. So those of you who are technically minded and are questioning why, I agree with you. There's no reason for you to do so. There are reasons outside of that why this would be important.
But it also means that nobody will use 2.3, even if it's released.
Yes, those who use the functions like block trimming, or would continue using 2.3 and or not upgrade at all, but some would. But in order to signal that we're no longer using the block 1 repo, then likely the enabling of those functions so that it does become a consensus upgrade would now become a greater priority. And so if you didn't upgrade, then you'd be falling behind. You would no longer be in line with the mainnet.
Yeah. So yeah, EOS Nation, we would have to run 2.3 because we run diffuse, but we wouldn't run 2.3 if 3.1 is available. We just go straight to 3.1. So yeah, if 3.1 is available, then I don't think anyone will be running 2.3. I agree.
We're trying to avoid that situation, Stan. That's where we're going.
It's one or the other. If 3.1 is there, 2.3 is out. Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
No, so far so good.
Beauty. I'll skip this one because this basically clarifying our timelines, which is fed from this. Oops. Jungle reset. We've already had Bodan from the Crypto Alliance. Thank you. Confirm that they're preparing the scripts for the Jungle 4. Anything you can speak to that?
It's probably not the reset, but running the new chain in the moment. We will keep the jungle tree probably for the half a year, 60 months, because many are using them and requiring time to migrate. So we will start from the 2.0 launch that chain jungle 4 on the 2.0 version, and with all features that was available on 2.0. Also, I think we will start Jungle 4 without initial token distribution because it looked like was not required the previous time, and it just take a time and use resources which is not needed. Yeah.
Great. So do we have a sense on, so this is in progress, is that right? The launch process to getting Jungle 4 up, is that right?
Yeah, I'm working on the bootstrap scripts. We'll prepare them. We will start the BIOS node and launch everything, and then share information for everyone to connect, how to connect, like Genesis file, probably the same as we did for Jungle 3. We will try to do this during finish preparing during this week and be ready for the next week, I think.
Oh, great.
As I know, yeah, so as I know, the next week should be Mandel repository will be available. Yeah, am I right?
Can anyone speak to that? The Mandel repository, the code repository, isn't that already available?
It is available, yeah.
On the
Yeah, but I mean, finalize it like
the release 3.0. I don't know when, but pre-release is already out there.
Okay.
But I think the idea, and let me know if you agree, is to start with the block 1's 2.0, launch Jungle 4 with
correct.
that, and then we can go through the upgrade process.
Yeah,
that's right.
Great. So we'll check in again in a week on that. Does anyone have any questions or anything to add on this topic? Beautiful. Let's talk. I wanted to also talk about Kylan survey so I'm going to need some help on this one from someone more technically savvy than me on so we in for the 1.8 upgrade, we distributed a survey to basically developers and exchanges to get feedback on what they're running, and it was a good opportunity for us to kind of keep on top of the status that, you know, are people aware of this upgrade, their requirements, and working on getting their nodes updated in time for the consensus upgrade. We didn't have a terribly large response, actually. I think only 17. So I've linked to, in this issue, you can see the 1.8 survey and the response summary. We only had 17 people actually respond to this survey. I'd see the value in it, but not as much if we're only getting 17 people responding. So it'd be great if we can maybe simplify it this time and try to find a way to get more respondents. These were the questions that we asked. I'm not sure if it makes sense to talk through some of this now, or maybe we can offline.
I will review it. I already gave a promise to review it, but a bit sick during the last couple of weeks.
So I'll put you on here.
Yeah.
And Randall has also agreed to help with kind of the outreach side of things. We'll talk about that on the next issue. So that's why I've got him on here. Once we've narrowed down our questions, we'll get it published, translated, all that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know, maybe there's an opportunity. Let's think of, I'll chat with you maybe offline, Stan, about which of these are actually required, and like, for example, does it matter what they're running, or does it only matter that they're running something that needs to be upgraded?
Yeah, I need to review it. Basically, we need to ask questions which where we break compatibility, right? Like state history, for example. State history of Mandel is adding a few new fields, so old state history readers might not work. So these topics are important. Also, if someone is running 2.1, we need to have some transition strategy for those who are using, like US Nation, using 2.1. But the good thing is that US Nation is running that, so transition strategy will be delivered by them, basically, right? So, but yeah,
Great.
just go through and check. Basically, yeah, everything that is breaking, that might break, we need to pay attention to it and ask people.
Great. And in the same note, I know you're already also, we have a set, the dev resources, which you're helping with. So thank you, Stan. This was, again, similar, in addition to the survey in 1.8, we had an article that basically pulled together all of the resources for any node operator or developer. So this is a summary of the resources we provided for 1.8. Stan is working on doing the documentation for, what are the impacts of the Mandel release for these resources for Mandel upgrade. So thank you, Stan. Do you have anything to share on this topic?
No, not yet. Still
Okay.
work in progress.
Cool.
I'm a bit delayed for like a couple of weeks. I'm on
any blockers or anything that you need help from anyone on this call?
No,
we got
no.
the Stan from the Mandel team, for example. Anything?
It's just some health issues. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Hope you're feeling better. And I saw that you were looking for a channel to like a Mandel or a Fractally public channel. Did that get resolved? I think I saw you asking in our Mandel.
Yeah, we don't have a dedicated chat wherever we define it to be for Mandel development. There should be some.
Would that be? I guess that would be something like the Fractally team would own.
Yeah.
Does the Fractally team have a? So you're asking for a public forum to discuss this, or you just need a forum to talk with all of the Mandel or all the Mandel developers?
It doesn't need to be private. At the moment, when I have questions, I just reach out to Steve or to Todd.
Right.
Directly.
You're going like private messaging.
Yeah. But there might be some questions where collective decision is needed.
Right.
So at the moment we have this chat for the US upgrade, but
yeah,
maybe just dedicated for internal development stuff and features and yeah.
Right.
That would be good.
Stephen, do you have any thoughts on is there a channel that exists or an opportunity maybe to create one?
There isn't such a channel at the moment. We're using our internal system plus just GitHub.
Okay. And what's I guess is this and maybe Stan, let me know, would this be a Fractally or is this bigger than Fractally? I guess there may be perhaps more than the Fractally team contributing to the Mandel. So it's perhaps more of a community, something maybe we can set up and just invite.
When this team with the transaction lifecycle
right
comes into the picture, so they also need some communication channel.
Right.
So we need some kind of. I mean, we can use the developers chat, but there's a lot of chat which is not related to the core system. Lots of questions from API and wallet side of things. So yeah, that this kind of channel is beneficial.
Okay, I'm going to add that to.
We can keep this Mandel upgrade for the moment and
right.
Also use that also for technical questions and development questions.
Yeah, at least for now it's working, but I think I agree, especially as more as we evolve and more teams get involved with development. It'd be good to have a dedicated channel. So I'll assign that to myself for now, and whether it's immediately or at some point in the near future, we'll create that channel when we see that it's getting unruly in our Mandel upgrade channel.
I just can't upgrade it. I can't create it myself. I'm at the limit of
Okay,
channels that I own. So
I should be able to. I think I haven't hit mine yet, so I'll do that. Okay. Any more thoughts on that topic? Anyone? Okay, moving on. Target high volume applications and exchanges directly. So again, this is something that Randall and I have been discussing. Thank you, Randall. The EOS Nation, we've got a database of apps and exchanges, and I believe Randall, you said you've got also your own database and a CRM tool. We've got an intern on our team who's in the process of going through the database of all of the apps and exchanges and getting a contact information. We're trying to get an email address for, whatever the tech, when you want to submit a ticket to an exchange, what's the email address? And that way we can get those all kind of in our CRM. And when we're ready to communicate, when we have all of our resources assembled, we can reach out kind of broadly to all of the exchanges. In addition to that, there's going to be a lot of just boots on the ground. I'll coordinate with all of the top 21s and all the exchanges that we, talk to them one-on-one. But what's happening now is we're just basically building that list. And Randall, maybe you and I can talk more offline about coordinating so we're not duplicating efforts. Maybe we can share what information we have and what information, kind of combine those resources. Ideally, what I'd like at the end of this is that we have some public resource that anyone can access. It's a public good for the community, like a contact list for, all of the exchanges and DApp developers, for any of this type of initiative.
some of them might not like to have email public.
Yeah, so we will make sure that what we're gathering, we only make public what we're able to make public, and not so yeah. If we're asked not to share it, we won't. So that will have to be part of the exercise too. What I have in mind for most, most exchanges have both public and private channels of communication. So that, yeah, whatever this public document would be the public channels of communication. And yeah, anything private we would have to keep private. So that there may be our internal CRM system that includes both public and private information, and then maybe there's a separate document that's public for, with just the bare minimum. Really the idea there is to preserve, as we don't want all of the knowledge lost in the event that, something happens. We have someone in the future no longer able to participate. That contact information will be useful for future upgrades. Other than that, I don't have much more to share. I don't know, Randall, if you had anything you wanted to bring up at this point regarding your, the CRM system and what information you have, what the status of how much contact information you have for the exchanges. But if otherwise, we can coordinate offline. I can put you directly in touch with the people on my team who are working on populating that database right now. Okay, see Randall is in the chat. I guess his mic is off. Not working, still working offline would be great. Thanks. All right, thank you, Randall. Okay, so that's everything that kind of was in progress from the last call. There are some other items in our to-do list that I wanted to discuss today. This communicating the parameter below, this will come after. I'll move this down the list, not until we have all of the resources and the survey ready. We can start planning to communicate broadly. What I have in mind for this is maybe working with ENF. Zach can help spread. You know, we'll create. We can craft our public or whatever it is, a Medium article, or we can decide what the format is. And would be great if we can have the ENF help to publicize that, spread the word broadly. Kylan is, so we talked about jungle. There are a few things that we identified that we're going to need on the Kylan testnet. Power up. We're going to need to do the binary update. We're going to need the Kylan feature activation. And Nate, I don't know, maybe before we even go into that, did you want to speak to the two? So we talked about these already all on the last call. Since the last call, Nate added a couple of Kylan related issues. Can you speak to those, Nate?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, there's two things that I noted that can be improved. The first is that Kylan.blocks.io was taken down because there is no Hyperion or history provided to them. I spoke with Saeed. He's happy to reset it up to where you can do historical searches. That's one. The other one is the faucet. I was doing a little bit of research before the call. It looks like EOS Laumau was really in charge of that. I don't know if they really exist anymore. Argentina has a faucet, but it only gives you 10 tokens. So if we can do something maybe to enable Argentina to allow more tokens, because 10 tokens isn't really enough to do a contract, I think that would be good. Or if we have other ideas, I'm open to that as well. That's it.
Do we have anyone from Argentina on the call?
And for Laumau, yeah, they are quite active, so we can reach out to Zhao Yu and get, I guess that typically it was Asia and Laumau that were controlling the tokens. So Daniel, if you want to reach out to Zhao Yu, and then we have Asia on the call. Joe is here.
Yeah. And I've been talking to Dafang as well, yeah, he's happy to help coordinate anything we need to get done on Kylan. So
and for Argentina, I don't believe that Matias is here right now, or Chidi, but because of EVM, we're in daily communication with them, so we can also reach out to Matias.
Great.
We'll get our Hyperion back up and running. Does it need to be full history, or could it just be something to help feed recent queries? Obviously, I can spin a quick one up.
Yeah, I don't know if it requires that. He said either a V1 history or a Hyperion instance that he can just plug in.
Question is, do I need the whole 100 million blocks?
I don't think it would need to be full. Just to for somebody who is developing to
Igor, you
read
think
the transactions.
335 perfect for that?
Yeah, we are working on 3.4, which will be compatible with Elasticsearch 8, which has been released 2 days ago, and has a lot of small breaking changes.
With 7 point whatever, so I'm good on that. But yeah, I can get a
yeah, but for new clusters, it would be great to upgrade, but the upgrade on the software side wasn't very easy. So I'm working in that that part is halfway there, and I also deployed a 3.0 RC for Kylie to test the state history changes, but I need to finish the Elasticsearch part first.
So it sounds like kind of 2 paths, maybe Igor and crew are getting the latest and greatest up and going. We'll commit, I'll at least get a partial one up and going. So we know we have something that.
Yeah, and we can see how it works to upgrade when you upgrade ship to 2.0.
Perfect.
So did I hear that EOS, you say, Michael, you said you're going to get Hyperion running on Kylan when we can, and Igor as well. You guys will?
We're going to be doing the current code, quick and dirty to at least make sure it gets up and going, at least get it running again. And then Igor is going to be keeping the snot. I have
a ship node on 3.0 already, but we need to finish some software upgrades before having it ready to go.
Yeah, so I'll do the short-term fix and Igor's got the long-term fix as he finishes it out. That makes sense?
Great.
Yep.
Saeed always loves using the EOS USA nodes. But they're better now. I got a lot better infrastructure now. It's not potatoes.
I don't think I can assign either of you guys yet. Maybe no. I think I need to. You need to. I've sent some invites that are
No, no,
pending.
accept.
Pending.
Or maybe
What's? I don't think
I'm
I've
on
sent
the-
you. Are you? Are what's your
EOS USA.
EOS USA?
Sorry about that.
Oh wait, add people. There you are.
There I am.
And you're added now. And as soon as you accept that, I can start assigning you to tasks on our board.
Sweet.
In the meantime, everyone, whether or not you're on the team, you have you can access to view and add tickets. I'm just not able to assign. Bodan, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, the question about the jungle reset. What the contract version we will start on, like block 1 contract system contract version, the latest one 192 or what? And does will include the power up model, or it will be on the stake model?
Well, we need to start from where EOS is now,
Okay.
right? Because we're testing upgrade of EOS in the end. So we need to start from where EOS is.
So right now the jungle version is the same as EOS is. So maybe we can use the existing jungle version to.
Yeah, it's just the features that I activated, unfortunately, and now we are stuck with them. They need to be.
Okay.
Right, the
Okay.
features that are activated currently on Jungle are not compatible with the Mandel.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that answers your question, Bodan. You're good.
Yeah. Thanks.
And I'm going to move these into to do. We've discussed them now. Everyone's on board. No one disagrees that these are necessary. Great. Joe, are you able to speak to what it will take to get power up activated on Kylan? Or should we take that more offline? And is there any order of events? You know, do these need to happen in any particular order on Kylan? And maybe that's
you can give me a list of the things that that are required for Kylan, and I can try to organize and let you know offline.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Joe, you guys have an Explorer for Kylan too. Do y'all need a V1 history? You want to use ours as well?
Yeah. I would like
I'll
the API URL, and I can update it.
Yeah, when I get it all up and running, I'll make sure to tag you and make sure you got it.
Well, thanks.
Great. Thank you. So anyone have anything to add on either these two or anything else for Kylan? Okay. And all these other ones, upgrade block producer nodes, we're a little too early to start talking about these. Are there any other topics that either we want to check in on or add or discuss? I think we've checked in on everything that's in progress. It looks like everything's moving along, is on track. So unless anyone else has anything, we might be able to wrap things up now. All right. So we'll, one thing I did want to talk about before we wrap things up is the time of this recurring call. I think this time is pretty good for most people in most of places in the world, except Australia, maybe. Do we have anyone from Australia on the call? Probably not. It's probably like
Yeah, I mean, Generios and Sphere and there's several of them in that.
So it starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 6 a.m. For Pacific, and then it's late for Australia, but it still remains to be the best time. If you started earlier, then it'd be very early for Pacific. If you start later, then it'd be too late for Australia. I mean, the world is a big place.
It is. So yeah, one thing we could do a alternating early late, but then that complicates communication too. So unless there's any big objections, I would be happy just leaving it at this time. And yeah, we'll do our best to, if our Australian friends aren't able to make it at this hour, just make sure we keep them in the loop offline.
I believe that Generios was being represented anyways. Tim did mention that Rob, I'm not sure if I don't see him right. No, he is here.
I think he is, yeah.
Rob is here. And so other than Generios, I guess Sphere, but Sphere didn't comment.
Yeah.
And otherwise, then I'm not sure there's anybody else that this would apply to. And apologies if there's something else.
Yeah.
And I talked to Ross on the
time
regular.
in general.
So I'll relay to him if he's the only straggler out there.
Cool. Okay.
And it's not that late, I believe. I mean, yes, it is late, but I believe it starts at 11. So it's not in the middle of the night. Whereas if we went the opposite direction and we started, let's say 1300 UTC, then it would be the middle of the night for most people, especially everybody in Europe. This is really the only time that captures the majority of the world when it's somewhat awake.
Yep. Okay. Anything else to add? Any questions, comments? Any Go EOSs? All right.
We should all do Go EOS. I mean, is that really a question?
That's right. So how about on 3? 1, 2, 3. Go EOS.
Go EOS.
Go you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See you next week.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.